Who dat to the Who Dat Nation? Welcome to the Who Dat Say podcast, your podcast for the New Orleans Saints here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and the 2025 NFL preseason for the New Orleans Saints is in the books. We are finished with the preseason as the Saints wrapped up their little 3 games here against a returning Sean Payton and his Denver Broncos as we fall to that team 28-19, and the Saints finished the preseason with a earth-shattering record of 0-2-1. But it's the preseason. Who cares? Honestly, who cares? I don't care about that, and quite honestly, neither should anybody else. These preseason games are glorified tryouts, glorified scrimmages. These aren't live rounds for 4 straight quarters, so it's nothing to hang your head down, be depressed, start drinking and all this here. It's the preseason, people. You only watch this for evaluation purposes, to see who is deserving to be on the team when we make our cuts on Tuesday to make this 53-man roster, and position battles and things of that nature. So this isn't about wins or losses. So the 0 wins this preseason could care less for reasons like today. The Saints lost today, but actually, in my mind, this was an excellent game for the New Orleans Saints. I actually enjoyed watching this game for the most part. It got a little boring in that second half. It got a little, oh my God, get on with it in the second half. But for the most part, it was exciting. And number one, because in the first half, more particularly in the first quarter, we got nothing but starters. We got starters that we haven't seen yet this preseason finally get game action in the final preseason game on defense, on offense. It looked like a actual real game for a moment there. I was excited to get a sample size of what we're expecting to see for the next 18 weeks. But of course, the big question going into this game, the elephant in the dome, was the starting quarterback position. Who was going to come out victorious today? I don't think, judging by today's game, is the staple that will say, oh, yeah, we're going in this direction. I don't think so. I really think that decision was made not in any game, but at practice. I think the practices really determined who the starter was going to be. Now, there are things you can point out during the game, at least I could, whereas I was like, well, he has a better pocket presence than he do, but overall, I think the decision was made. I really do. And we're just going on this ride. This was more of a last chance type deal today, and giving all 3 quarterbacks an equal opportunity to win this position. Because at first I was kind of confused on how this process was going, with Kellen Moore trying to figure out who was going to be his starting quarterback going into this season, week 1. And I'm like, well, this doesn't seem fair to me. It just didn't sit right with me. And now, 3 weeks later, it all makes sense. Once I put it all together, and I'm slow, you probably picked up on it a week ago or at the beginning, but it took me a minute, but I got it. Everybody got a fair shake. Everybody got their reps with the ones. Everybody got their chance to start. Everybody got their chance to have a 2-minute drill and things. It was equally dished out between these 3 gentlemen, and I respect that from Kellen Moore. I actually gave him kudos today. Not personally, but just me sitting in my lazy boy. I was like, you know what, this makes sense. Everybody had their shot. Nobody should be mad that ABC got the start and I didn't. I honestly think it was fair. So kudos to him on that. Now the big job for him is to figure out who's the guy. But in these 3 preseason games, Rattler, it all totaled up. Rattler, he was 30 for 43 attempts, 295 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. That's in all 3 games. I'm not saying today. And so that's his stats for all 3 games. Tyler Shuck, he was 36 for 53, 333 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and 1 rushing touchdown, which he got today against the Broncos. Statistic rise, I guess you got to go with Shuck. You know, you got to go with Shuck, but Shuck threw the ball 10 more times than Spencer Rattler did, and only has 40 yards more than him. So take that what you will. They both only have 1 touchdown and both have 1 interception. Now Shuck does have the rushing touchdown over him, but Spencer Rattler did rush for the 2-point conversion last week. So they both scored on their feet. So, like I said in my preview when I was talking about these 2 guys, there's no clear-cut separation. There's nothing, I'm talking numbers-wise, there's no clear-cut separation between the 2. What does separate them apart is the fact that Spencer Rattler has experience. He was here longer, you know. He has actual NFL starts. Last season, didn't win any games, but he has starts. So he has experience. And the other glaring factor that is different is the fact that Spencer Rattler is more comfortable in that pocket. It showed today who was more comfortable, who was more poised in the pocket, and that was Spencer Rattler. Tyler Shuck, he looked like a rookie, which he is. He looks like a rookie. I do see the potential there, and that's encouraging. And that's the part that gets me, man. I just can't wrap my head around how when you say something against Shuck, and I'm talking to those who fire back at me for saying something against Tyler Shuck. I don't hate Tyler Shuck. It's just that I feel he's not ready to be the starter. Once he's ready, I think we got something. But it's not now. That's the whole thing. And it showed today. He's not comfortable in the pocket. Pocket awareness is bad. You know, when he took that sack fumble. Now, granted, old boy just came around the edge real quick. But you drop back 20 yards. I mean, you kept dropping back. You need to step up in the pocket. That's called pocket awareness. That's called knowing or feeling the play around you, you know, where the pressure is coming from. And that takes time. Not everybody has that. The same thing happened to Spencer Rattler in the first game, but that was in the first preseason game. The second in this game, he started stepping up. He learned from it. And Tyler Shuck will learn from it, and he will do better. It's just a process. That's all. It's a process. So I feel, me personally, if I'm Kellen Moore, if I'm the head honchos over there on airline, I'm going with Spencer Rattler. Now, with all that being said, another big question mark was the offensive line. The offensive line has looked like pure dog water over the last couple of games. Now, a lot of injuries have taken place, and a lot of starters haven't played either. And so we fast forward to today's game against the Denver Broncos, and Eric McCoy plays in this game, and you can see a clear difference in that offensive line. It's crazy how one man, and that's what happened last year. When Eric McCoy went out last season, that's when all the wheels fell off. All hell broke loose on that offensive line when Eric McCoy got hurt. We couldn't bounce back. We couldn't recover. He is truly the anchor of that offensive line. And it was a clear difference on his O-line today. We saw holes opening up for the run. We saw the quarterbacks have time. Well, namely Spencer Rattler had time in the pocket. It was amazing. It was night and day. It was like it was like a whole transplant of an O line. Now, with that being said, we had some injuries on that O line today. We had right tackle Landon Young. He left the game in the not fourth, but in the second quarter with a lower body injury, and I saw that. I saw it when it happened, and I was like, oh man, he got rolled up on. It was friendly fire. It was devastating. All I could just say is, man, this team is cursed. We just cannot have a healthy O line to save our life, bruh. And but Landon Young, I don't think he's the starter, but it still hurts because you need depth because our starters can't stay healthy. And Landon Young, he stepped up big time last season when we had all those injuries. So that's a big loss if it's something serious. I'm leaning towards it is because they brought out the cart, and that's not a good sign when they bring out the cart. I saw another offensive lineman limp off, but they never touched in on who that was. But it's all good. Hopefully we'll get it. I'll try not to think about it. But as far as injuries, speaking of injuries, we got to see our first taste of Devin Neal, the running back that we drafted in this past year's draft, and he looks good. He only had the ball a couple of times. I think he had 5 carries for 20 yards or something like that, but they were nice runs, and he caught the ball twice, and so he looked good. I like the way he run. He has a similar running style to Kendrick Miller, a little bit of Alvin Kamara. I don't compare too many people to Alvin Kamara because he's one of one. Alvin Kamara you can't compare him to nobody else, just flat out, straight up, period. But it was good to see him in action. It was good to see our starters in action for the first time, those who we haven't seen, Cam Jordan, Demario Davis, who else was out there? Carl Granderson, Alvin Kamara for that one play, which was it was a fake, but it faked everybody out. But that was it. That was the most action we got from Alvin Kamara today. But it was good to see him out on the field. It felt like football, man. I'm telling you, that first quarter felt like an actual football game, regular game, a game that mattered, and it was exciting to watch. A couple of players, or should I say a few players, didn't suit up for one reason or another, banged up or whatever. Defensive back Terrell Burgess, our left tackle Taliense Fuaga, tight end Taysom Hill, tight end Foster Monroe, Rico Payton, Trevor Penning, John Ridgway the third, which is man, because he's a defensive tackle, and we got some really good defensive tackles, and he being one of them. And I was excited when the Saints signed him, but he's a little banged up. No timeline when he's going to return, but it sucks that he's banged up. Cornerback Alante Taylor still hasn't played yet due to quote unquote injury, and I say that because there are reports that he's not really hurt, that he wants a contract extension or whatever. If that's the case, I don't know, man. I think you're going about it the wrong way, Alante. Play this year out. But at the same time, I understand where he's coming from because he's looking at somebody like a Paulson Adebo. He's looking at Marshawn Lattimore and all this here, how the Saints treat their cornerbacks in the contract situations, And he's like, look, I want my money. Pay me now. And so I don't know what to tell him. I hope he can get back on the field. I like Alante Taylor. I think he's an asset to this Saints defense. But I'm also looking at these guys who are playing in his stead. I'm looking at a Kool-Aid. I'm looking at a Quincy Riley and The other cats out there. What's his name? The one who shined last week. Sanker, who we drafted. Yeah, with their players right behind you. So if it's true, he's playing hurt for a contract thing. This is his way of sitting out. I think he needs to think this through a little better. But in any event, let's go through the stats of today's game against the Broncos, and beginning with the passing stats. Today's leading passer for the New Orleans Saints was Tyler Shuck. He was 12 for 20, 102 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Coming in second is Spencer Rattler. He was 5 for 8, 43 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Jake Hader came in late. He was 5 for 9, 37 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. As far as sacks are concerned, Tyler Shuck, I already discussed the sack he had, the sack fumble. That was the only sack on him today. Spencer Rattler was sacked once. Jake Hader was sacked twice. Our leading rusher today was Tyler Shuck. He had 2 carries for 20 yards and a touchdown. Devin Neal was second on that list, 5 carries for 20 yards. Kendre Miller, 3 carries for 15 yards. Jake Hader, 1 carry for 10 yards. Cam Akers, 2 carries for 5 yards. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 2 carries for 4 yards. Valdez Jones Jr., he carried the ball once for 2 yards. And I listed all the running backs because, let's not forget, we're in a running back competition as well. Who's going to back up Alvin Kamara? I think after today, of course, is Kendre Miller. I think that's the no-brainer, you know? So what's the pecking order after that? Because we're not keeping 6, possibly 7 running backs on the roster. So who are we keeping? Of course, Alvin Kamara. Kendre Miller's on the team. After that, it's kind of a question mark. Well, Devin Neal, I think he's on the team as well. We just drafted him. But who else? Are we going to go with 4, 5? I think 4 would probably be the cutoff. And so somebody out of the rest of these crop of running backs probably going to make the team. I would say Jones Jr. is probably gone, but probably get re-signed to the practice squad if he clears waivers. But I think he's possibly going to be out. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's on the fence. Cam Akers, I think he's going to get cut. I think Cam Akers, he's done nothing. He's done nothing throughout this training camp or preseason, at least to impress me, to outdo these other guys. So if there's anybody that's going to kick rocks, it'll probably be Cam Akers. But who am I? I'm not GM, unfortunately. Our leading receiver today was Kevin Austin Jr. He had 3 catches for 34 yards. Chris Olave, 3 catches for 29 yards. Moving over to defense, our leading tackler today was Rajan Wright. He had 9 tackles. Jonas Sanker had 9 tackles. Jordan Howden had 6 tackles. And Isaac Yeldum had 4 tackles. And everybody else was tied with 4s and 3s at that point. Moving on. Interceptions, Quincy Riley, he caught an interception today, adding on to his stock on this team. Speaking of team, let's go over team stats. Beginning with first downs, Broncos had 22 first downs to the Saints 16. Total plays ran, Broncos 75, Saints 58. Third down efficiency, Broncos were 7 for 16. Saints were 5 for 13. Total yardage, Broncos 396 yards to the Saints 236. They both had 10 total drives apiece. Yards per play was won by the Broncos with 5.3 to the Saints 4.1. Passing yardage, Saints had 160 yards passing to the Broncos 293. Rushing, Broncos won in that category as well with 103 yards to the Saints 76. red zone efficiency. Broncos were 3 for 6 in the red zone to the Saints 1 of 1. They only got to the red zone once today. Penalties. Broncos had 6 penalties for 35 yards. Saints 3 penalties for 40 yards. They cleaned that up. They did better in the penalty section, which is the only category the Saints won in. Time of possession, the Saints got swallowed up in that as well. Broncos had the ball for 36 minutes and 51 seconds. Saints had the ball for 23 minutes and 9 seconds. Both teams had a turnover apiece. So that is that. That is it for the preseason. We are on to the real deal, and we are on to the regular season. We get the bye next week, and then it gets real. We're on to Arizona, even though they'll be here in the Dome. I'm excited. My final thoughts going into all of this, I'm excited. You know, I'm not excited for anything special. I'm not looking for anything, you know, to set the world on fire, but I am excited to see this team grow. And I think us as a Who Dat Nation, as a fan base, I think we need to just go along with the ride. Enjoy the ride. You know, unless they show us that it's a dumpster fire. And then, yes, express the dismay, of course. But this team is building. This team is truly building. We're in a rebuild. Let's just go for the ride, you know, and hope and pray that this team is at least competitive. I'm not looking to go 17-0. I'm not looking for that. I just want to be competitive. Don't get the brakes beat off of you. See, for example, look at a game like this today. For the most part, Saints was in this game. If you go by when the starters were in the game, Saints kept this game tight throughout. You know, they were competitive. Broncos that's a good team over there, starter-wise. That's a good team. Sean Payton got those guys. They won 10 games last season. They weren't supposed to win nothing, but they won. You know, and they're continuing to win, and they look good. Sean Payton got them looking good. They look like a young Saints team. They look like 2007-8 Saints over there. You know, to put a number on it. Definitely not 09. They're not 09. But they look like a young upstart team over there. You know, good job for Sean. But the Saints were competitive with them. They actually look like they can beat these guys. And that's all I want. I want a team that's going to go out there every Sunday and leave it on the field. And if they play this year like they played in the first quarter of this game, it's going to be a fun and exciting season. So that's my final thoughts on it. As far as the quarterback thing, we'll wait to see what the final decision is. It wouldn't shock me if they go with Tyler Shuck, and it wouldn't bother me either. I'll be like, okay, because this is a whatever year, you know. But if we want to send them out there and let them learn on the job, okay, if that's your method, let's go that route. But me personally, I would go with Spencer Rattler. You know, I think he gives you a better opportunity to win or be competitive, as opposed to sending a rookie quarterback out there that's gonna be like a deer in headlights when that old line breaks down again, and it's gonna happen. So we'll see. And definitely by Tuesday we'll know not only who's on this team, but who will be the starting quarterback of our New Orleans Saints for the 2025 season. But I would like to know, what are your thoughts of today's game? Are you encouraged by the game? You know, I know it's a loss. I know we took an L, but are you encouraged by the things you saw? It's not just the X's and O's and the statistics and all this here. It's the game within the game. You know, that's what I was looking at. I was looking at things like, will a running back pick up a blitz? Are the players where they're supposed to be on defense? You know, like last year, nobody was where they were supposed to be. There was wide open people all over the field, even last week on defense. But this week, it improved. You know, last week they couldn't tackle a fire hydrant. And, you know, but this week, the tackling got better. You know, it's little things like that. That's what I was looking for, and that's what I was impressed by. I want to know what impressed you or didn't impress you. Let me know by email, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for this show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network on those platforms. Also, YouTube. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel and like this video if you don't mind. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are listening to the Who That Said podcast here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me this preseason as we went over the Saints and their mission, I guess you could say, their march into the 2025-26 NFL season under the leadership of our new head coach, Kellen Moore. Let's see where this journey takes us. I am excited for this season. I am so happy to be back here on the Who That Said podcast, man. This is I don't know, man. For the past, how long it's been? 6 months, something like that. It's been depressing, man, with no football and no Saints to talk about. Nothing exciting happening over on Airline. It was just a state of depression. But now it feels good. It feels like the world is right again, and I am hyped up for the regular season. Next week, we are going to do a full breakdown of the Saints' upcoming season. We're going to go game by game as we preview the NFL season for the Saints and what to expect from the Saints. So be on the lookout for that next week. And, of course, when the season starts up September the 7th, when the Saints host the Arizona Cardinals, we will be back in full action every single week. Until then, I'm going to be screaming to the top of my lungs, who that